Hey guys, what's up? Channer again, and today I want to go over some greater rifting on the Barbarian in patch 2.3. So, I guess there are a few variations you could use for greater rifting in patch 2.3, but this is just what I've come to like and what I used to clear a 63 last night. Last night I pushed greater rifts for the first time on the PTR and managed to clear a few low 60s. I did a 62 without using a conduit to kill the boss. I got the new Rat King boss, and then after that I cleared a 63 by using a conduit, and I'm gonna show you guys that clip in a second, but I'm just gonna go over the build really quick. So here's what I'm using. We're using a Whirlwind Blood Funnel. Of course, this is a Wrath of the Waste build. Hammer the Ancients with Rolling Thunder. That is to proc the new bracers that give you 75 to 100% increased attack speed for 3 seconds. So when you use Hammer the Ancients and you start whirlwinding, even though you only get the buff for 3 seconds, Whirlwind snapshots attack speed. So when you start whirlwinding, it takes the attack speed that you have and keeps that attack speed until you stop whirlwinding. So all these other abilities on my bar, I mean aside from Hoda, which is used to initiate the buff, can be used while whirlwinding without interrupting the whirlwind. And that's the reason for threatening Shout instead of something like Ground Stomp, because Ground Stomp would interrupt the whirlwind and break the snapshot of the attack speed for the whirlwind, which is really important because higher attack speed equals more Dust Devils per second, and Dust Devils is where all your damage is coming from. Those are the attack speed breakpoints for the Dust Devils. So as you can see, the last one is 12 Dust Devils per second. That one's pretty good, but in this build I'm using 10 Dust Devils per second. I don't have attack speed on my gear. You need a little bit of attack speed and some other things to get to the 12, but that's what I'm using here. Alright, and of course Battle Rage Bloodshed. Like I said, Threatening Shout is pretty cool because it decreases their damage, so it's another source of survivability, but using the Taunt or the Demoralize rune makes it so that when you use Threatening Shout, the enemies you hit are kind of like forced to melee you. So it clumps the mobs together. And in this build, the damage is a little bit low, but the survivability is really high. So what you're aiming for here are greater rifts with high density, and pulling like 2-3 packs together into one room with a whole bunch of white mobs is going to be your best chance. You're going to have more survivability. You're going to obviously clear faster because you're going to kill everything at once, but that's kind of the idea. So you can kind of run back and forth, Threatening Shout, kind of pull the kiters towards you and get everything into one room. For some greater rifts, some maps, like this strategy just sucks. Like, you just gotta fish for the right rift with, you know, the right map tiles and the right mobs and good enough density. And this is a conduit fishing build, like I said, even though I did a 62 without using a conduit. In this build, like the 63, a boss might take me like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes to kill the boss. So, I mean, if you get a really good rift, you could kill the boss. But I mean, if we're talking about pushing your highest potential of greater rifts on barbs, which seem to be high 60s, low 70s, something like that, you're definitely going to need that perfect rift with the conduit and everything. Not to say that, you know, barbs are only conduit fishing right now, but this is just what I've come to like. Other things like focus restraint builds without using unity that are way more offensive can kill bosses at higher greater rift levels than this build can, but I find this one to be a little more consistent. Over here I'm using Ignore Pain, Ignorance is Bliss for damage reduction and healing. You can use Ironhide just so you don't have to hit Ignore Pain as often, And the reason you wouldn't want to hit Threatening Shout and Ignore Pain too often is because in your cube you're using an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, which reduces the cooldown of one of your skills by 1 second whenever you hit with a resource spending attack, which is going to be your Whirlwind. So if Wrath of the Berserker, Ignore Pain, and Threatening Shout are all on cooldown, then the Obsidian Ring is going to lower the cooldowns by 1 second here, 1 second here, 1 second here, and it's going to be split between the three. But if you make sure that you're not just spamming Ignore Pain whenever it's up, and you're not just using Threatening Shout all the time, you're only using it when you need to use it, which is to pull mobs or when you're taking too much damage, then if Wrath of the Berserker is the only thing on cooldown, you will be able to keep permanent uptime. By slotting Iron Hide instead of Ignorance is Bliss, you lose some of that healing and survivability, which you do have lots of healing from Whirlwind Blood Funnel, but that requires more density. So I kind of like Ignorance is Bliss. Iron Hide makes it more manageable for permanent Wrath, but I'm using an extra piece of cooldown gear. Not really purposefully. Like, my rings are a little subpar right now, because my convention, I really want one that has closer to 200% bonus. The stats are okay there, but over here probably crit damage instead of cooldown for my Unity would be good. But I am using a Flavor of Time that has 8 cooldown. If you didn't have something like that, then using like cooldown over here on your Unity or cooldown on one of your weapons would be okay. And then you could use something like a Hellfire Amulet, or you could use an immunity necklace like Zephyrian and stuff like that. We are using Weapon Master to keep our Fury up if the density gets a little bit low. Rampage Ruthless and Bunabokathos, we want to keep Perma Wrath, so that's the idea of this build. And for our gems, Bane of the Trapped and Taeguk. And then over here, you kind of have the option between Swiftness or Pain Enhancer. In the clear I did yesterday, Pain Enhancer, I was using Pain Enhancer because you get the bonus attack speed, which also snapshots, and you can hit that 12 Dust Devils per second. Over here, I'm not going to be able to hit the 12, I'll hit the 10, or something like that. But with the Swiftness, you'll be able to maintain your Wrath of the Berserker, Ignore Pain uptime more easily. So there are a few options there. Of course, we're using Pride of Cassius, 6 seconds along with our Ignore Pain. I did show you guys my cube. I have Furnace in the weapon, Hexing Pants over here, so that's really good. And then I'll just go over my waist pieces. These are the stats you would want. The only thing that I want to change a bit is like this chest. I'd rather have a secondary resist over here, but life percent is pretty important because the higher life you have, the more that crits are gonna heal you, because every crit heals you for 1% of your max life. So the more max life you have, the more healing. A way to make up for low HP would be Ignore Pain, Ignorance is Bliss, but like I said, that's optional. Again, over here I need a secondary resist pair of waist gloves. Those are the kind of shoulders you want. You definitely want whirlwind damage on your helm and boots, so something like that. You definitely want really high attack speed bonus on your Bracers of the First Men. That's definitely important. And for my weapons, I am using percent damage on my weapons. So that's where the cooldown over here comes in, so I don't have to put cooldown here, so I could get the vitality. Otherwise, I could use something like this. Like this BK weapon is definitely an option right now. And yeah, I don't think I missed anything, so let me just go do this one thing over here and show you guys my attack speed fully buffed. So I'm at 1.62 unbuffed. Let's just go into Weeping Hollow. I was doing some testing here earlier, actually. So my attacks per second is what you want to look at. And I'm at 3.43 attacks per second. So that would be snapshotted as long as I continue whirlwinding. I'll stay at that 3.43. And, you know, part of that attack speed is coming from the bracers. Part of it's coming from the swiftness gem, 15%. And again, I'll bring up this sheet over here. So as you can see, I am just above the 10 dust devils per second, just under the 12. So, you know, adjust that as you like. That's just what I'm running right now. All right, so I think that's about it. And let's pull up this. Here we go. Now I just gotta find it. And here is the run I did last night. This was a Greater Rift 63. So the idea in these Greater Rifts, like, you really want to group mobs as much as possible. So you can see I'm kind of going back and forth. In most cases, white mobs aren't really worth killing, but if you could get big enough packs of white mobs that have high HP mobs inside the packs, that's definitely something you want to look for. Like over here, the white mob density is pretty good, and I know I could progress decently with this pack over here. As you can see, my progress is jumping up quite a bit. But once I run out of density, I want to try to pull mobs. So as you can see here, I'm using my Threatening Shout on like that yellow pack, trying to drag it to the next pack of whites or the next pack of champions or elites, and just kind of constantly drag the mobs throughout the level so that you can group as many mobs as possible together. At a certain point, there might be parts of the maps that will funnel the mobs, and the mobs will kind of body block each other and won't be able to follow you. So maps like that are going to be bad, and they're going to definitely hurt your time. So doorways like the one I just went through, not so good if you have really, really high density. But as you can see, I'm just hitting that Threatening Shout, going back and forth, trying to maintain my Ignore Pain. Right now I'm just pulling mobs, so I wasn't using my Wrath of the Berserker. I don't think I forgot to use it, but maintaining your cooldowns is definitely the tricky part of this build, especially since here I was using Pain Enhancer. So it could definitely get a little tricky, but taking your time, even though you saw, like, I'm losing time by trying to pull these mobs together, but taking your time to get nice big clumps of mobs and to get multiple elite packs grouped together is definitely worth it. If you're killing elites and champions pack by pack with a build like this, it's just not gonna cut it. So as you can see here, I'm continuously dragging. Another thing I did back there was I had a few elite packs, but there were a lot of white mobs surrounding those elite packs. So I wanted to kill the white mobs so that the white mobs wouldn't body block the yellow mobs and the blue mobs from walking through this doorway. So that's something I'm doing right here. I'm just kind of clearing the low HP trash so that I create room for the other mobs to walk and follow me. As you can see here, now I got the yellow mobs through that doorway by killing the white mobs. I come down a little bit, see if I could grab any more density. Keep using my Threatening Shouts to get those mobs to follow me. Sometimes you go to the next part of the map and you might not find good enough density and you waste a little bit of time, but I find it's better to check than to just sit there on top of one mob. So over here, he's an illusionist, which is pretty decent. But he's almost down, so I'm just kind of waiting for that physical buff, which I just got from my convention. Although my my wrath dropped, and I'm not maintaining it perfectly, but you know, over time, like this is my first day playing around with this kind of build in Greater Rifts, so eventually over time you build the muscle memory.
Ah, the chargers.
Oh,
more burst mobs. Yay.
I thought I had that muted. Anyways, over here you can see I'm doing the same thing. Arcane orbs can be a bit of a problem, so I think like I skipped that. Because if I saw that, if I was going through that right now, I would have skipped it. Maybe I'm going back for it. I'm not sure. But that... Okay. Oh. I didn't see that power pylon up. That makes sense. I remember this part of the rift, though. I didn't like what happened here because the that little hallway, the bridge, made it so the mobs are body blocking each other, which really sucks from my damage. And then on top of that, they got arcane orbs and they got frozen, so this fight didn't work out too well. I think I just wind up killing the white mobs and moving on. So, you know, you really have to pick and choose your fights in these Greater Rifts. But I did make some decent time with that fight, but staying there I would lose time, so I decided to just continue. Also, if you do die, you lose all your stacks of Taeguk. And like 80 stacks of Taeguk is like 40% bonus armor, so like if you die to an elite pack like that, you can't just res and go right back into the fight. You are going to be a little low on survivability. Now this is a problem on the PTR. When pulling big density that I need, the game kind of just locks up, and I can't really see where anything is, where the frozen orbs are, where the arcane orbs are, and I was dying to that quite a few times. And I got some really, really good rifts that was upsetting because once I pulled like 3 packs together and there was like 100 white mobs, the game just totally locked up. And I'm sitting there just spamming all my buttons, which is really bad for this build, but just hoping to survive. And sometimes, like after a minute, everything would blow up and the game would come back and everything would die, or the game would come back in 30 seconds when I died. Got another pack down over here. Reflect can be a bit of a problem sometimes, but just maintaining your ignore pain will allow you to survive through that. You just gotta be really 100% with it. You cannot let your cooldowns drop, and then you also gotta make use of your Zodiac to keep your uptime. And the management gets a little tricky. That's definitely the tricky part of this build. It's not just spamming Whirlwind. As you can see there again, lag locked up the game, and by the time when it unlocked because I died, because I was standing in some shit that I couldn't see. So like when it locks up like that, I can't see that they have reflect, and I can't see where the fire chains are. I can't see frozen orbs or arcane orbs on the ground. So right now on the PTR, like, I think something that would be good to do is to, if you are going to pull big density together, try to eliminate the low HP white mobs as early on as possible. I also found that if you don't just stand in one spot, there's the conduit, by the way. If you don't just stand in one spot with a big pack of density, like if you just go around in circles on the screen and just let mobs kind of follow you instead of grouping up everything into one big dense pack, once you group everything into one dense pack, that's when the lag hits. So circling around a screen will prevent that lag a bit, but hopefully that doesn't go through to the live server. because that would be pretty unfortunate. Alright, so moving on. I did have some blue packs back there, but I'm just trying to grab as much as I can. I know those arcane orbs could be a problem if I hit a lag spike, but I did manage to clear out the white mobs a bit, and it looks like I managed to avoid the lag here. I know I still have another blue mob up there, but I think I had a blue mob up there and it was really low health and it was almost dead, so I left it there so that when I come back I could just finish off that one blue mob and get, you know, the kill from the blue mob, which is probably like 1% plus the 3 orbs. So I come back and I could just knock out the last 4%. Nice and easy. I'm ahead of time right now. A boss with the conduit's only going to take about 15 seconds. You do have 30 seconds of the conduit now, and it's super powerful like in Season 1. So I have that one blue mob sitting back there, and I see he's at low health, so that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So now I just got to keep up the pace. I need to actually pull ahead just a little bit so I have enough time to run back. So over here, I think I see that this isn't going to push me too far ahead. So I think I wind up skipping this pack. Just clearing out the white mobs. Which actually lost me a bit of time, but right here I know that I need to get a nice double or triple pack in order to pull ahead. So I'm just skipping everything until I find that nice pack that I need. So I do wind up getting a nice amount of mobs, a nice amount of white mobs, which wind up pushing me to where I need to be. As you can see here, the game's locking up again because I have too much density. But since it's only one pack, I'm surviving it. Thankfully, they didn't have any bad affixes, just frozen orb, but as you can see here, I'm just spamming my keys because with the lag, I don't know when to put my Ignore Pain up or when my Wrath of the Berserker's down or whatever. But I managed to get through the lag and clear those mobs, which you could see over here pushed me ahead quite a bit. Now I got a shield pylon plus some pretty huge density, so I don't grab the shield pylon just yet. I'm looking for a pack. I'm looking for a nice dense group of mobs to burn through. And over here, what sucked was that little pathway, the stairs. Definitely something that hurt, because it won't allow the champion mobs to come up to this big dense pack. But I think after I get through this lag fest, my progress bar jumps up quite a bit. And as I'm killing mobs in that dense pack, more mobs are coming up through the stairs. But it just seemed the best way to go was to kill the white mobs. As you could see, like instantly everything just blew up, and that one really large white group of mobs helped me get through this rift. So just killed a few extra mobs for good measure, even though it pushed me up a little bit higher than I needed to be. which is absolutely fine. Run back to the conduit. All I gotta do is hit that white mob once or twice. Pull the boss over to the conduit. Pop my Wrath of the Zerker. And then go ham. Probably didn't even need to pull the boss. Probably could have just grabbed the conduit and ran back to him. As you can see, the conduit is just absolutely destroying the boss. Looks like killed the boss in about, 15 seconds. And that's that. Greater Rift 63, pretty fun. That's what I'm doing. Gonna do some more testing on the PTR, kind of figure out my stats and builds a little more. I'll continue pushing on stream today. If you guys want to hang out at twitch.tv/chainerfails, I'll be live streaming. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.